Space. The final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Adequate. Our ongoing mission, until we are cancelled and replaced by something far superior, to review every episode and movie of Star Trek in existence, including Scouts. To seek out new guests and make them very uncomfortable. To boldly go where many other Star Trek-based YouTube shows have gone before. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Treks and Trekkers on this fine planet Earth, and welcome to a recorded episode of Trekkin Up North. I am one of your hosts as ever, Captain Goodwill of the Starship Adequate, and joining me is the delectable Geesian from the planet Hulk. It's Science Officer Synoiz.
What justified that voice? Like,
which voice?
And joining me, oh lordy lord, from the planet Hong.
I have done 40 hours of talking like an American. My mental state is jello. I genuinely.
Know your nationality anymore?
You've been
American. You've been.
After this week, I have genuinely had the effect of talking like an American when I didn't mean to in Costa. Okay, I went to Portrack Lane to purchase something today.
Oh.
Everybody, this is Sparkles. Say hello.
Okay, of all the things I wasn't expecting you to just pull out in front of the camera.
At least it was still a horn. So I went to go purchase Sparkles from Smith's Toys. And whilst I was outside Smith's Toys, obviously me and Synoiz were having a voice conversation. And because the phone is connected to the Bluetooth speakers, everybody heard it. So I'm no longer allowed in Smith's Toys Superstore. But I went to Costa because I'm a little bit parched. I will have a coffee. But it was my first verbal human interaction. And without blinking an eye.
I don't count at all.
No. My first physical face-to-face human interaction. Because Smith's Toys, it's click and collect, and a clawed pair of hands come out with a box. Or in this case, a hobby horse. And he's like, my precious. So I went to Costa, and I went up to the counter, and I went, hey, could I get a large cappuccino, please, and a teriyaki orange muffin? And immediately my brain went, you fucking idiot. I had one of two ways I could handle this situation. One, apologise for my moronic accent. Two, continue with the charade until I was sat at my table, ate my scrumdiddly-uptious muffin and coffee and beat cheeks. Guess which one I did? It was delicious.
Hoping the latter.
The latter. I'm never going back to that Costa again.
See, now, ideally, what you should have done is kept up the accent to the maximum amount possible, and then when you're picking the coffee up, be like, "Thanks, pet."
Oh lordy, this looks like a modified cappuccino. Oh, thank you very much, my love. And this
that's all. Oh, thanks, love.
He's a schizophrenic, that one. He's a schizophrenic.
I mean, who would want to be American right now in the current political climate? Ho, 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 ho. I know it's still you, but still.
So anyway, I love America, Visa people. Should we announce our news, our purchase this week?
Well, see, the problem is though that you're seeing this in a far more optimistic way than me because you're like, "Oh, I managed to do it," and I'm just like going, "What? Where is the money gone? Where?
Oh,
Where's
I'm
the?
very
Why
much
am I
where is the
eating
money gone?
stones and cheese right
I'm
now for the
very
next year?"
I'm very much selecting my street corner as we speak.
Because I'm like, "God, Jesus Christ, if we had to pay that much money," and you're like, "Yay, we did it!" So yeah.
But then I also message like, we need to sell merchandise. We are off. We are off to STLV for the 60th anniversary of Star Trek next year. We don't know where we're staying. We don't know how we're getting there. But somehow.
I'm gonna do it in a dinghy.
Yeah, I
I'm
was
gonna get
about to say
over
we were
there.
going to do it in a D. We
Yeah,
were going
let's
to
do it in a dinghy, okay? We'll be like, hey, we'll make room for some asylum seekers in England. We'll just get a dinghy
Ooh.
over to America.
Ooh, Nigel Farage can't be angry because we're white.
Yeah,
So
we could be the anti-Farage. We're
we
leaving
can
the
be
UK in
the
a dinghy,
anti
confusing the
Farage.
system.
The anti Farage sounds like some sort of burglar alarm, doesn't it?
I think anti-Farage just means you pay your fucking taxes. But
Yeah, and you actually turn up to your
and on
job.
to see you next Tuesday. Ooh, he's voted in like 12.
Oh well.
Hasn't it? Isn't it something like? Isn't there something like there's been sort of like 300 votes since he actually got into any level of power, and he's turned up for like 50 of them, and you're like, well, you're obviously paying attention to the politics.
Breaking news: Farage has disliked this video. So yeah,
Yay!
we are off to
I gave him a
STLV.
tenner. He'll do anything for that. But yeah, so we're
Which
going
one
to
of the tenors?
STLV. We
Because
will be
Pavarotti's
there.
dead.
Oh, God. Here's
Yeah,
this
da, da,
Moldy.
da, da,
Come here.
da. We are off to STLV next year, so we were incredibly lucky for that. But we are here to review an actual episode of Star Trek because after last week's debacle of Science Officer Synoiz utterly refusing to attend because Elogium scarred him to the point he thought he was at the BBC in the mid-70s, he just didn't turn
I
up.
couldn't get the bleach out of my eyes was the problem. I was just like, little Neelix, you have to mate with me, and it's like, please, why did this? So many episodes could have been done instead of this.
It was
And
kind
yet
of
this is what we
it
got.
was kind of fitting because then a monster died. But we
That coloured the entire the Nerdy Up North quiz that we did weekend just gone. Every single team name was called Ian Watkins, or had Ian Watkins related to it, and we had a little bit of a celebration because yay, nonsense did. But anyway, a little one. But yeah. So Goodwill, what are we here? You know what I think we're here for? Okay, hold on. I'm gonna channel something appropriate. What can I channel that's appropriate?
no.
Oh yeah, okay, okay. So now then, Mr. Goodwill. Now the episode of Star Trek, the original series that we're going to be reviewing today. Oh, is called What Are Little Girls Made Of? Now, I didn't see this episode because I was currently at a Pizza Express in Walking, but I've heard that it is a lovely episode, so you should totally review it with this lovely Geesian called Signs of a Synoiz.
Just preempting
Bet
YouTube.
you weren't expecting that. Yeah.
Just preempting YouTube. Just I know I'm going to get an email. I know there was going to be an email. The email is just going to be, dude, what the fuck? You've been told.
YouTube broke the button. They hammered the button so much that it broke, and now they're like, how do we report them? How do we?
The thing is, I posted in the Discord that we were doing this episode and we were recording it, and immediately, Beth responded with, "I'm getting the word," and I was like, "Oh, God!"
I think the worst thing about this episode is that the title doesn't really fit the episode.
It doesn't. It
Like,
does not fit the episode.
Is very weird.
Misleading.
You just say, like, the only thing it can be referring to is like Andrea, but it doesn't really explore Andrea that much. The episode, like, she is like a sort of plot point, but
She's Kirkbait.
Yeah, but she's Kirkbait, and she's kind of like what happens, but the episode doesn't really go into that. So you wonder if maybe she had more to do in the original script, and then it got edited out, and they kept the actual name. Not
I
sure.
I
Yeah.
genuinely don't know, but this is the episode, season 1, episode 9, episode 8, depending on how you do the run. What our little girl's made of. And this is the dramatic conclusion to Dr. Roger Corby that we have grown to know and tolerate in Star Trek Strange New Worlds as the fiancé of Nurse Chapel.
Now it is an interesting one. Like, I put this into the Dabo Wheel of Honor
Yes,
simply
you did.
because I put this in because I thought there should be some original series representation, even though I'm not a massive like fan of a lot of the original series. But it's the
Yes.
fact that this is one of the most well-rounded episodes of like the original series that I've seen, because it basically has all of the conventions for us to talk about in it.
Yes.
And while a lot of characters don't really have a lot to do, it's also one of the more thought-provoking ones, and the one that I can talk about a lot of different. This episode shows the influence that Star Trek has had over so many writers and directors and anything since it came out. Like the amount of bits where you just go, "Oh, that's where that got it from," and "Oh, okay, that's where that came from," and stuff is fascinating. It's such an important
I
episode of Trek.
I was genuinely surprised that you chose this episode. I was not expecting it. This was completely out of left field. Obviously, I remember this episode well. There is a load of memes from it, and obviously, this is one of the rock is
Or with the
lurch.
cock rock. Yeah. The cock rock as well.
Yes. Don't make me put it in the image reel.
It
Actually,
is
I
in the
already have.
image reel.
Don't make me put our
I've
image
seen it
in the image reel. Don't make me put our image in the image reel. But it is, this is it's Lurch from the Adams.
There it is.
There we go.
There it is. He's got his cock rock out. They must have known. They
must
had to have known.
When they must have known. There is a little slit at the tip as well. They must have known. But
this is where they just kind of go like sort of William Shatner's like, no, the entire crew and all the team don't think I'm a dickhead. And then they're just like, yeah, let's make him hold a massive cock for an episode.
The thing is, at the beginning of the episode, when they beam down, immediately it's a minefield of double entendres, because Kirk goes, possible we've hit the wrong entry point. But so I was genuinely surprised. We had Lurch from the Addams Family in the 1960s. He's rocking this. We do get Dr. Roger Corby. Nurse Chapel does get, should we say, a mildly starring role in this episode, which I thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah.
It does bring up some questions, though, of a continuity variety, because when they originally get to the planet, Corby's been missing for 5 years. There's been 2 expeditions to try and find him. They can't find him. The Enterprise is sent. They finally reach out, and Corby's like, Enterprise, it is Dr. Roger Corby. And then Spock goes, are you sure that that's Dr. Roger Corby, nurse? And she just goes, have you ever been engaged before, Spock? Kind of taken away from Strange New Worlds. Kind of taken away from Strange New Worlds a little bit.
Like, I was going to bring it up like later in the specific section, but it's like the fact of we celebrated Strange New Worlds on the fact that it was very carefully fitting itself into continuity, where we had stuff, like the famous moment where it's like, oh, I didn't meet Pike until he was the fleet commander, and then it goes, look, we've temporarily promoted him to being a fleet commander for 1 episode, purely so that that line can actually still be true in the original series. But it does feel like season 3 of Strange New Worlds kind of went, okay, we've got them now, let's not put as much effort in. Because, yeah, Roger Corby has no bearing upon this episode. Like, it's the fact of they didn't even try to make him the same. Because the fact is, all this stuff where Kirk goes, hey, I've never met Roger Corby. I'm pretty sure he has. I'm pretty sure they've been in the same room and said they might not have, but I'm pretty sure they've been in the bar at the same time.
The wedding, perhaps?
Yeah, the wedding. Also, the idea is Corby is somehow lost his Irishness between like getting lost and sort of now.
He's been surrounded by
Uh,
phallic rocks for 5 years.
That's it. It's
It would
enough to
make
turn
anybody
anyone
American.
English American, yeah. But it's also like other things like Kirk says like, oh yeah, of course I knew who Corby is. His papers are like sort of required reading at the academy, and I'm like, so Corby was famous before Kirk graduated, but then
They're about the
yeah,
same age.
yeah, all of it,
Yeah.
it's tenuous, but they could have done far better in Strange New Worlds if they wanted to have this character, or they could have just created a whole new character. It's
Yeah, I
it's
mean, it's a few throwaway lines, and we're obviously, we're being a little bit nitpicky here, but yeah, it does throw it off a little bit. But I think to introduce Dr. Corby in Strange New Worlds after he's only been in this episode, I think it was a good addition. It fills out Chapel's backstory
I
well.
think it's a cool idea, but I would have totally done it differently, I think. After
Yeah,
watching this episode and completing season 3 of Strange New Worlds, I'm like, I love the idea of them having Corby in and preempting him, but I would have done it totally differently and like not
yeah.
had him as not obviously not had him as Irish, but basically had him more of a kind of off, not had him in as much, like.
I do like though that it is predominantly a Kirk Chapel episode as well. Like for the most part, we don't normally get the ensemble. I mean, McCoy actually in this
No,
episode at
McCoy.
all?
I think it's literally the only people who have things to do are Kirk, Spock, and Uhura.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah,
don't see
potentially,
Scotty.
yeah.
We don't
No,
see no, and obviously Chekhov's not in yet.
it's like a
Uh,
bottleneck episode when you think about it, which so early on in Star Trek Run to have a bottleneck episode like that.
but it's a bit of a shame because obviously, like I'm saying, I'm like this episode gives across all of the the tropes of the original series, and yet it's an episode that doesn't have half the characters in, which
Yeah,
kind of goes. I don't know what I'm trying to imply there, but but the tropes I mean are stuff like Kirk being a dickhead, Kirk and women like generally kind of thing, Kirk being sort of racist to Spock, um, you know, women basically just being there as decorations seemingly, and also red shirts. It's a great example of red shirts where we
oh
just kind of
god,
go like, good, they
they are
beam down to the
dispatched
planet.
quickly.
Well, they beam down to the planet, and then Kirk's just kind of like, the guy hasn't immediately beaten us. Beam a security team down, and they send two like red shirts down, and their whole purpose in this entire episode is that people need to die. So we need to demonstrate that the robot is willing to kill people, and so it kills these people. And you're sitting there being like, Kirk, if you hadn't have sent them down, they wouldn't have died.
I just it is, yeah. I mean, that is a cliche there, but I really like this episode. I really like this episode. This is for me pinnacle classic Star Trek. The lighting is absolutely fabulous. The sets are so paper mache. It is gorgeous in its own way. And the fact that just what was Colby's goal through all of this? What was Colby's goal?
Well, you know what? Okay, I didn't expect we would get into philosophy, or is it like yeah, philosophy this quickly in this episode. But I was having a fascinating discussion with a friend the other day about like objective reality.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we can only experience life the way that we experience it, then how do we know when we're not experiencing it? Like people say, hey, we live in a simulation, or like, someone, I think the conversation was prompted by something where there's a theory of maybe now is the afterlife and that we've actually already passed on, or maybe this life here is a dream and then we'll wake up from it one day and stuff. And I was making the argument of like, it doesn't matter because all we can do is experience this reality as though it is reality. If we have no awareness of them, so if we wake up and we don't have a recollection of this, then that's a different thing, And I think it applies to this episode in the idea of what we do is go, if you're an android, but you're a perfect replication of a human, how do you know you're an android, and what does it change? Like, sort of, so are you still yourself if you become an android? And what this episode does, and obviously it's the twist of the episode effectively, is going, yeah, you are a different thing. Like if you get a human and transfer it to an android body, then you don't realize that you're different, but you are. And that, you're objectively noticeable as being different, but you're not aware of it. And that you kind of lose an element of your self. And I kind of like it that this kind of answered the question that we were debating with my mate about, like, how would you tell if you that you weren't in actual reality. I mean, what I mean by that is the twist of this episode. Sorry if you haven't seen it, but why are you watching?
It's
If you haven't
60
watched it yet.
years old.
Yeah, it's 60. It's the 60th anniversary next year. You've had
Yeah.
time.
Spoiler alert for 60 years ago, folks.
It's literally season 1 as well. It is 60 years ago.
Yeah.
But but the twist of the episode is basically they go down to the planet because Roger Corby is there and it's Chapel's ex-fiance and he's been missing for years. They find him. He's exactly how they remember. Chapel's got a bit of a, he doesn't seem quite right. There's something wrong kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the episode, we find out that actually he is an android after all. And what he's done is the real Roger Corby got injured and to save himself, transferred himself into a human body and has been living for years since going, oh, no, I'm still me. I'm just in a robot body. Like, I'm still exactly the same. But then the whole episode is pointing out, like, going, no, you're not. Your whole viewpoints have changed. Your whole way of life has changed. You've lost your humanity. You're not emotional anymore. You've lost the spark that makes you human. But you don't realize it because you can only experience what you're experiencing. And then when they open his eyes to that fact, he starts breaking. He starts like sort of overloading effectively, and then ends up just he can we say the word? No, we can't say the word. He
Unalives.
He unalives himself. Yes,
In
and
Minecraft.
Andrea.
Yes, in Minecraft. It is a very thought-provoking episode. Obviously, the former inhabitants of the planet who were driven underground created these androids, but there is no mention of a transfer of consciousness until they start duplicating Kirk, and obviously we find out that Corby is a duplicate of the original Corby. And I would have loved to have seen them explore, to say, hey, they were driven underground. The sun was fading over a period of half a billion years. They were driven underground, and the only way for the species to survive was that they would transfer their consciousness into an android body, which allowed them to survive on the planet, inside the planet, etc., etc. It would have been a very interesting thing had they have gone in that direction from that. And I'm reminded of the quandary from the video game Soma, where it's like, so you transfer your consciousness from a human to an android. Do you transfer or do you make an actual copy? And the original consciousness remains in the human body. So it's a case of like when we see that Kirk is cloned, his consciousness remains in his body, but there is another consciousness which is obviously bent to the will of Corby in another body. And it's sort of like, I would have just loved to, because obviously they were built to be the servants of that alien race. But I would love to have seen where, Rock was actually part of that alien race, but transferred their consciousness 500 million years ago, has forgotten that part. And, and he's just like, we were built to serve, and then when Kirk is actively deprogramming him, he then realizes, actually, my name was this. I was a scientist, and blah, 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 blah. And coming to that realization that, hey, I am actually this person. Do you know what I mean? Like, sort of an awakening of a former consciousness in the body would have been. I think it would have been fantastic.
It's
a little bit too advanced for 60s, but yeah.
It's odd because I don't agree with you about that storyline for Rock. I like the idea of Rock being the example of this is what an android is. I think it's because you need that test. You need that kind of hey, look, we've got this is an android because it's almost like a false flag. Is it a false flag? A red herring? Something.
Yeah, yeah,
Like a red herring to go like, hey, look, here's an android. So Corby can't be an android because he doesn't act the same as Rock. But then obviously goes, actually, that's a consciousness put into an android, but it's still not perfect. And it is that the title of the episode is "What Are Little Girls Made Of?" As in, I think it's part of a rhyme, like as in, it's like sugar and spice and everything nice or something.
yeah.
I
Sugar and
think it's
spice and
something
all
to do with
things
that.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's what it's a joke referring to that. And it's kind of going, well, actually, what are humans made of? And it's like, well, it's just not just the personality and
yeah.
the memories. It's actually there's some kind of spark that Corby loses from becoming this.
It's
But
the
it's the fact
soul.
that yeah, that's it. And that is kind of the point of the episode of going, hey, this race obviously went whether they were dying, whether their planet was dying, or whether it was just the natural step of going, hey, we can make ourselves amazing. We can
Yeah,
make ourselves better than like flesh if we become androids. And they all blindly did it and then just went, oh, we've lost a massive part of ourselves. I mean,
yeah.
Warhammer 40,000 has a race called the Necrons where they do this exact thing. It might even be a reference to this episode. That's how important this episode is. That it could influence things like Warhammer 40,000, like, 40, 50 years later, where it's a race of things that went, hey, we're going to become immortal and transfer ourselves to robot bodies. Oh, life is horrible now and I can't taste or enjoy anything anymore. Okay, like, and they're searching for a sort of way to reverse it.
It's
But
so
there's
interesting. It's
so
such an
much you could
interesting.
do with this plot, and
Yeah.
then it just never gets brought up ever again.
But again, and this is what's hilarious. So we went on about this for season 3, Strange New Worlds. Like they bring these interesting concepts and ideas to the table, and then never do anything with it. And this is why I always said Strange New Worlds was classic Star Trek, because classic Star Trek did it, and this is a prime example of that. This is an alien race that mastered synthetic life, had the ability to transfer consciousness, and yet the 2 androids or 3 or 4 androids that we see, or 2 of them are just servants. And then it's a
Yeah.
case of like, okay, so Corby stumbled upon this android. He stumbled upon Rock
This
maintaining the facility, right? But my question would be, if Rock had been programmed and Rock was he would create the androids and stuff like that, why would he not create more to help out with the facility and create a new race of androids? Do you know what I mean? Like, what was it in his programming? What did they say? Like, why was he just on his own? Why
What we
was
see
he?
though is we see that Rock doesn't really have any self-determination until later on
No.
in the episode, where it's the idea of they would have just said, "Hey, Rock, your job is to protect the facility."
Yeah.
So that's what he did. They didn't program him to sort of
Yeah.
make more people. They didn't program him to run it more efficiently or something, in which case he might have gone, he would have probably just gone, yep, I can protect this on my own. Cool.
There could have
Or it
been.
could be that maybe there were more and over time they've all died, like, or
Yeah.
accidents have happened, or maybe when Corby arrived, he like murdered most of them or something. It's like,
I like the theory of Rock was like the not the guardian, the maintainer of the facility where the androids were made and the consciousness is transferred. But the race that made him, there was a pandemic, there was a virus that slowly eliminated. But his programming was,
well, we
you
know
are
what
here.
happened to the race that he.
No, I know,
Because he
but
tells us.
I know. But again, it's a very Cylon AI. It's a very rehashed thing that we've seen over the last 60 years. But his orders were to keep the facility running, and he just did that for 500 million years. He just kept on doing it. And I just think let's a little bit more exploration into that, other than, oh, we just rose up because we were servants and blah, 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 blah. And I don't know. I think it could have been more intelligent just to say, Rock was he was the person that kept the facility going, the facility that transferred the consciousness of the alien race into the androids so they could live forever. There was a virus going on, but for whatever reason, they all died out. But his final orders were maintain the facility, and no one told him any different. So for 500 million years, that's what he was doing. And he was just, I don't know. I just think it would have. added a little
It could
bit
also
more
it
of a
could
layer.
also be the fact. Well, I think maybe even better if they actually had just left. So maybe they're still there somewhere in the galaxy, like this race,
Mm.
and they're in there in the lore, and they're somewhere else. Like, what's to stop them becoming something like V'ger, or or something to do with that, or being involved in the
Oh,
Borg? Like,
they
there's more
evolved
you
a
could do
different
with them.
way. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
like because
evolved in a
we
different way. That
don't
would be a good idea.
know how long this was. Like,
Yeah.
is it millions of years? Like,
Yeah,
that they
500 million years. Yeah.
yeah. But it's either way though, it's the philosophy of the episode is fascinating of kind of looking into consciousness and what makes someone something. Because Corby is so the way that Corby speaks to Andrea, who is his other servant, who is one that he created himself. So
Yeah.
it's a bit of a contention because obviously they get down to the planet and Chapel's like sort of, oh my God, Corby, I've missed you so much kind of thing. And he's like, oh God, you're alive kind of thing. And then
Yeah.
obviously like
Why
this
wouldn't she be?
beautiful well, this beautiful female sort of like and woman comes in, and Colby's like, "Don't worry, it's just a robot that I made." And Chapel immediately, like full side eye, basically being like, "Oh, great! I wonder what she does round here."
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
proper jealousy, but
Yeah.
he's been trapped on the planet alone for like 5 years. But it's so she's unlike Rock, it's one that he's made himself, which
Yeah.
makes it also a bit creepy about how beautiful she is. That a bit kind of like, okay, you created your own robot and you made it a really hot chick. Okay. Um,
Jelly.
I quite like that we get Chapel being a bit jealous, but it's the fact that like the way that Corby reacts to Andrea and talks down to her all the time, basically being like, "Oh, you couldn't possibly understand this. You're just a machine. You don't know what love is. You can't feel these kind of emotions." But then he is himself a robot, and he's kind of forgotten about that, or he thinks he's better than that because he thinks he came from a human consciousness. But obviously, what we see is it's just programming. They took like an actual human soul, a human consciousness, turned it into programming, and then put it into this android body. So it thinks it used to be a human, but actually it's just a facsimile. But he talks down to her all the time throughout the whole episode. But
She's
then at the end
exploited
realizes,
so much.
actually, I'm just as bad as, well, I'm just the same thing as her,
Yeah, she's
and can't take it,
exploited.
which is why he
When he asks
unalived, I
her,
think.
when he just says to her, kiss Kirk and then strike him, and Kirk's just like, I'll take 100. But it's just, yeah, it's
Usually they
very,
don't need to be told.
yeah. You can't take my
That's
horse
women's
farm.
normal reaction.
I've been to space, but yeah, it's very degrading. It is very degrading, and I do feel uncomfortable for that, and I just feel that again, Corby doing that throughout the episode could have sort of triggered I wouldn't say primal, but sort of like a deeper programming instinct within them, because we find out that Rock, that they revolted against their makers, and they ultimately terminated them, and it could have triggered that. She could have been triggered by that to say, we are not here to serve you. We have our own sense of being. Do you know that we are our own people or something like that?
It's an odd one because it's the thing is also there's little bits of the episode that I'm like, make me uncomfortable in the capacity of like, Star Trek is all about new life and new civilizations, like and it's all about sort of different ways of living and different sort of like cultures.
Yeah.
And in this, it kind of there's a bit of it that kind of seems like, oh, they're not human, so they don't really count. Like, or they're artificial, therefore their feelings don't matter. And it's mostly from Corby. It's Corby going, hey, cool, because we see that Kirk and Chapel do treat them like entities. Like they are quite cool about it, where they are kind of like, yeah, Rock's a robot, but they're still going to talk to him, and they're, like that, and they treat Andrea like she's a person. The only person that doesn't is Corby because he thinks he knows what they are and he kind of sees himself as superior to them or different to them. It's, but it is a weird one that it's like, even though they're not human and their consciousness isn't like, like a human's would be, it doesn't make them any less valid. And I don't
No.
know if the episode trips up there.
I think this is an issue with Star Trek altogether, though. Throughout the years, there's always been that issue of artificial intelligence being treated sort of like a lesser species in a way. If you look at the way that Data was treated, and I mean, A Measure of a Man, Dr.
Yeah,
Pulaski, if you look at the way that the Doctor was treated in the early seasons of Voyager, how EMH Mark Ones were treated, when we find out that they are all
yeah.
dilithium miners and stuff, and they slow, and it's a case of, is there an
So I was going to
issue?
make a joke about, oh, miners. Where are the miners?
Thatcher closed them all down, but we I saved that. Did you see that? I said we
You
were
said
going
you
down.
actually made it funny.
We were going down a dark and dusty route, and I was like a hard left. But we but it is, I think it's an endemic issue with Star Trek. And we joke about the Irish in Star Trek and stuff like that, but when you look at artificial
Yeah, but we
intelligence,
know that the Irish aren't human. It's the sort of thing of androids. Like there's a question there. Hi, Sean, if you're watching. Uh,
oh,
Hit that button,
oh,
YouTube.
I'm gonna get so many angry messages from all the Irish people I know. Um but I think it is an endemic issue. We see this. I mean, Star Trek, promotes this utopia and tolerance of everyone and everyone's species and values and stuff like that. But for 60 years throughout the series, we've also seen the darker side of the Federation, where there is this issue with treating artificial intelligence as equals, treating augmented people as equals. Ad Astra per Aspera, Julian Bashir, treating them as equal people in the Federation. And, I think this is possibly the first episode where we see that issue coming alive with the
I,
way
I,
that the androids are treated in this episode, where they are essentially sentient species. They are self-aware. Yes, they are programmable, but still they have independent thought in a way. And we see that with Rock, and we see that with
yeah.
Dr. Corby,
Like
in a
if Rock
way.
had not been programmed that way and his creators had just said, "Hey, do whatever you want," kind of thing, he probably would have just done
Yeah,
whatever he wanted. Like
yeah,
it's the fact of he was kind of chained into service by, and we could use that as a metaphor for society where it goes, "Hey, person, you have to do this job." And I know you want to do other stuff, but no, you have to, do this because we're telling you to and you're pressured into it.
yeah.
So there's definitely a case to be said there. I mean, I would say though that what it is it like with DS9 especially, where it points out that the Federation isn't perfect. It
No,
points out that the Federation, they think they're perfect a lot of the time, but then it just goes, well, actually, you're still going to hit these things because you constantly have to question. That's what science is. Science is you never stop. Science never stops and goes like, cool, we've discovered all of the things. It constantly goes, do we still believe this? Is this still true, or have we got a better way of doing this now? And constantly revisiting.
you have
And
to
the same
challenge.
we have that. Yeah, we have to do that with social constructs, where it's the fact of like we are with androids in next gen and stuff, where they're just going, hey, how do we feel about androids? Are they second class citizens? Are they human? Should they have the rights of everyone else and stuff
Yeah,
like that? And measure of a man. And then later on, it'll be like EMHs, holograms. Then it'll be like changelings. Like, should they be allowed to be part of society? What about the Jem'Hadar? Like, they were bred as
they
like
were
a sort of
clones and augments.
military
Yeah,
clone slave race, and
yeah.
just being like, yeah, but now, like, that's it. Maybe Star Trek Academy is going to address stuff like that and say, hey, was there a big social issue with allowing the Jem'Hadar to come into that? I mean, there fucking won't be because it's going to be like 90210 in space. But, but I'd love it if it genuinely goes into that kind of thing of going, hey, it was a dark time where the Jem'Hadar were trying to acclimatize to
Yeah,
being in society and everyone hated them. And then slowly they've built up sort of that thing. And, how we can apply that to how society is, where, like, are we talking like sort of not even like 60 or 70 years ago, we had like sort of segregated schools where black people weren't allowed at the same schools as like white people and stuff. Like we have it now where we're going, hey, trans people can't use the same bathrooms as like sort of cis people, or oh, they have to use this special one here, or oh, they have to use the one that society has decided they should use. And it is this thing of we will always have that because we constantly have to revisit it and go, oh well, what like black people can't use the same schools as us. And I'm like, well, that's how it was last year. We need to check that. Is that still the case now? No, right, okay, we'll move on. Like,
Yeah.
are androids still second class? No, actually, they can do this. Like,
Yeah.
it's revisiting stuff, and I don't know. So I've gone off on one. I've
No,
gone
no,
off on one. But
it's
I love that we can
absolutely
do this
valid.
about Trek.
It is absolutely valid because the Federation is not perfect. And, for those that, you don't read into it, you think, oh, the Federation, this is utopia, everybody's equal, it's a massive socialist state, blah, blah, blah. It is not. It is not perfect by no means. And I think really with the next generation, that's when they started looking inwards and started addressing these, and I mean, the original series and the movies painted this utopia, but then the next generation onwards, it was like, hey, yeah, it's the 24th century, but we still have these issues. We still have the controversies of artificial intelligence, the controversies of augmented citizens. They can't serve in Starfleet because we are scared because something happened 300 years ago and we don't want it to happen again. Exactly like Science Officer Synoiz has said there, they don't constantly challenge the status quo and go, yeah, so it was acceptable 300 years ago. Is it acceptable now? Have we learned? Have we matured? Have we grown as a society where we could revisit the rights of artificial intelligence, where we could revisit the rights of people that have had to have augmented DNA? Were they augmented to save their lives? Were they augmented because their life would be made difficult if they didn't? If you look at Julian Bashir, he had developmental issues, so they augmented him to essentially live a full life. And the question is, well, is that right by society or is that right by the person? And then it's great that we can have those discussions and episodes like this where you see Kirk and Chapel and Corby treat the androids like second-class citizens, where it's like, hey, they've been around for 500 million years. They've probably got more knowledge and information in their memory banks than you will ever accrue in your entire life. And instead of like trying to deprogram them, instead of trying to learn from them and gain this information, gain their trust, you kill them.
Yeah. I think this is what bothers me about the episode, because like I have probably, I always have a problem with Kirk. Like, it's just a staple of this show is basically, if there's ever, it's very rare. Like, I think we had one movie where I was like, you know what, I was on Kirk's side here. And all the rest of them, I'm just like, no, no, Kirk was lucky everyone else was there to do the actual job. But it's a,
Shit.
no, that's it. This is why I won't get into
Yeah.
fights with Trek people, but I'm sitting there being like, yeah, that made it more difficult. And
Oh,
this episode was a
STLV's going to
weird
be
one.
fun next year.
Oh, it's going to be fun. I'll be like,
I'll just
Going
walk
up
in
to
and
the
go,
chat
he's
room
over
and
here,
drag.
and then just run.
that's it. Joke's on you. I can take 20 men at a time.
It'd be like the scene from Raiders
enough
where he's just
about
running
Berlin.
out. He's running out the hotel, going, "God, will start the car." And I'm fishing for whatever reason.
Not in that bloody Las Vegas heat. A mild stroll is the best I can do in that. That's not fishing, Goodwill. But I'm glad you're using both hands.
It's normally tweezers, but anyway, go on.
but it's but I totally forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, when I was watching it though, in my memory I thought that Kirk did the murdering, and it's
Yeah.
done quite cleverly, where the androids only kill themselves.
Yeah,
And
Unalive.
and it's kind of making a point about, oh sorry, they unalive. Fuck off, internet. Fuck off, algorithms. Ugh. No, I'm sorry, man, but you're sitting there being like, so what? picking out particular. Remember when you were in school and they had like the chat sensors and stuff on it, like where they had like, oh, you had banned words, or you had forums where it just went, oh, the F word, and we'll block that out. But it was done so heavy-handedly that you couldn't mention like, what was it? I think we couldn't write chateau in French because it had the word chat in, so it would block it. And we couldn't mention cats in French because it would block it. Because it was like, oh yeah, you're trying to access a chat room, and I'm like, I'm trying to talk about cats in French. But
I'm
then
going
there
to
were other ones where
create.
obviously there's certain words like which we will all know of that appear inside other words. But it was just so heavy-handed, and I hate that we have things listening to this, listening for words that we use unalive for.
I'm going
Ugh.
to create a Trekking Up North bingo card for everybody, right? And the aim of the game is if you get a full house, you win a Trekking Up North t-shirt. So whenever there's a tangent, whenever Synoiz gets angry at YouTube, whenever Synoiz gets angry about equal rights, cross it out.
Whenever the word nonce is mentioned.
Yeah. Uh, or Keiko.
The true evil. But yeah, I in my head I had remembered that Kirk is the reason why Rock dies, and I thought Kirk killed him directly. But then watching the episode again, it's the fact that Kirk. It's not gaslighting per se, but what Kirk does in order to save his skin effectively results in everyone losing their lives. And it kind of upsets me a little bit. Like I kind of put the blame on Kirk in this episode for it going to hell. Like yes, it's all down to Corby being like sort of no, I can't trust you. No, we've got to do things secretly. I can't just talk about things and like being really weird and secretive and stuff is a massive problem. But the fact that it's like that being difficult, hitting Kirk's being difficult, just ends up in everyone dying. And and we have Rock, this ancient being. We're talking like millions of years old, this ancient being that has like all of this technology to do with him, that's been doing all this stuff, dies purely so that Kirk can escape a room.
Yeah.
You know, where like
It's such a
Kirk doesn't
waste.
give a shit about like it's obvious that Kirk doesn't give a shit about Andrea's feelings, doesn't give a shit about like Rock's feelings, but goes, hey, if I can make Rock turn against his creator, then he'll attack Corby and I can get out of here and back to the ship. It's purely selfish. It's purely
Yeah.
selfish means and results in like everyone dying. And that's what I have a problem with. This kind of weird selfishness. And the worst thing at the end, okay, is after Corby's unalived himself. So I feel like I'm on fucking GB News being like, oh, you can't talk freely anymore. Oh, oh,
Get your
why can't we
bingo
have
cards
freedom
out,
of
everybody.
speech?
Get your bingo cards out. He's going on it.
I'm slowly turning into it, man. I'm like, oh, what happened to freedom of speech? And I'm just like, yes, but then you.
If I
No,
see
I'm not going to
you,
go into it.
if I see you on Saturday painting a roundabout, I will slap you.
But oh, I think that could be fun, but I've never liked Denmark that much, So it's like, I
You'd
mean,
paint France just to see what would happen.
that's it. I'll be like, hey, look, everyone, it's shit Canada. There's on the bingo card.
What's the one that's horizontal? It's got red, white, and blue.
It's Denmark, isn't it?
Is it Denmark? How funny would that be if
Or is
like
it
you go around
Norway?
the roundabout and it's just like, look, it's Denmark, it's France, it's Denmark, it's France. Sorry. Anyway,
but yeah, but the I'm thinking of the St. George's one, the red and white one, not the Union Jack one. But yeah, but it's yeah. I just get annoyed at it because like the worst part of the episode for me is the fact that right at the end is after Corby has unalived himself and Andrea at the same time, which is great because obviously he had the power. He totally had the right to end her life.
oh yeah,
Even though
totally.
yeah, dickhead. But it's the fact that basically Chapel is there, literally just going, "Wow, that thing had all the memories and all the consciousness of my sort of fiance, and he's just without a word ended himself, without saying goodbye or anything like that." And that's the last memory of
Yeah.
like the man I loved, like totally gone from existence. And Kirk's just like,
Oh well.
Anyway, and it's just
Yeah.
it's like how cold can someone possibly be? Like nothing like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that happened to you. He just he puts a hand on her shoulder and then just says nothing, and then Spock comes in and Kate Kirk's like, oh, thank God you're here. I nearly had to talk to a woman, but nearly nearly had to talk to a fucking chapel. But it is, and I just sit there and be
Everyone
like,
tick off misogyny, folks.
that's it. He doesn't do anything to be endearing to me. And I find it fascinating that obviously loads of people would have been watching this in the 60s being like, what a perfect man.
Can
What
I
a perfect
just
example
say,
of a man.
can I just say how amazing Majel Barrett is in this episode? Though she is
Yeah.
stunning. She is a wonderful actor.
When
Oh,
she's
just
got the soft filter, when it keeps cutting to her face and
oh.
she's got the soft filter on, you're like, oof.
There's
She was
there's a
spicy
screenshot.
lady.
There's a screenshot I've put in the reels here of her on the bridge with the lighting at the back of her. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, she is stunning. She is the queen of Star Trek. She's the mother of Star Trek. I mean, just look at her. Look at how
It is. It's incredible.
amazing she
Although,
looks.
although I will say the upscaled version, it's a bit more obvious it's a wig. It's a little bit more obvious, I think it's a
I
wig. But
know, I know, but nevertheless, I mean, she is a good actor. She is a fantastic actor. Before she was Loxana Troy, she was Nurse Chapel, and she just nails every role that she has been in. Even as the computer, she
yeah,
nailed that. That was
I
just
I I will also, because obviously we know Majel Barrett amazing, but it's like also the actress who plays Andrea does a really good
oh
job, I
my
think, in
goodness,
this.
I know
Like
she's really
she
good.
she's really good, and it's that thing where they just go, "Hey, just be a robot," kind of thing. But there's these little nuances and these little elements to it where you're just like, actually, she's really good, like.
Yeah.
But uh, but I
What is
think the
love?
person who steals the show for me is Rock. Like
Yeah.
he is like every can we talk about Rock,
Yes.
please?
Absolutely.
It's
Yes.
there he is on the screen there. Okay, Rock is the big android. Now, I can't think of anything more iconic than Rock. Like this is the sci-fi thing that launched 1,000 ships, because we think of what we got from the idea of Rock, which is like we get Terminator. The whole scene where the Terminator can change his voice and pretend to be John Connor's foster parents and stuff like that. That's from this episode. Like we have like things like even the name is like is goes into the Mega Man games. Like the craziest thing is like and I don't know this for certain, but obviously Mega Man, the big Nintendo sort of video game character, uh, his name when he's not Mega Man is Rock, which is a reference to this, and it's like because he was originally called Rockman. And we
Is
get other stuff like
it?
yeah, and then in DB, it's because he has Rock, and then he has a sister called Roll, and it's kind of the
Oh.
idea of going, does it come from that or does it come from that? But it's the fact
All
that we
right.
get other references like if you're a fan of Dragon Ball or well, Dragon Ball Z specifically, I think
Yeah.
it's which one is it? It's one of the Androids, Android 16. If you Google Android 16, it's basically Rock. Like these
Really?
huge shoulder pads, bald head, but with like he's got like a Mohican and stuff. But where he's got this sort of big booming thing, and the silhouette of him, you're just like, I'm pretty sure that's them doing that.
Wow.
But it's the influence that this sort of creature had upon the world and
Yeah.
because obviously Star Trek was huge in Japan as well,
Yeah.
and just and there's far more examples of like things emulating Rock from this episode because he's just so iconic. And what acting, like what's the actor's name, the guy who plays Lurch and Rock?
I will find that out for
Yeah,
you.
Google it. I should have researched before the episode, but I was too busy marveling at him. But it's when you get him to speak, like that voice it's addictive. It's so amazing because he only gets like a couple of lines in the episode, but it's so deep, it's so calculated.
Not
It's
him. Bear with me. It is because I was looking at Carl. Carl Strucken. Carl Strucken.
stuck in.
Ironically, well, Star Trek and the Addams Family have a deep-seated history. Because Ted Cassidy, who is the original Lurch, in the 60s. Obviously plays Rock in this. And then Carl Struckian was also Lurch in The Addams Family. The Addams Family Values is also Mr. Hom from The Next Generation. So there's been a connection between The Addams Family and Star Trek for a long time. But yeah, it's Ted Cassidy who played Lurch and who played Rock in this little episode.
While you're there, Google Android 16 and then Dragon Ball, because otherwise it'll give you like
Android 16 Dragon Myas. There we go. Let's have. Oh yeah, I can sort of see it. I can sort of see
it's that thing where you just kind of go like, oh, and he's this big gentle giant kind of thing, and it's I don't know, it's. Maybe I'm drawing lines where there aren't any.
But yeah, so yeah, it was. Oh God, love him. He died in 1979 at 46 years old. Ted Cassidy.
Oh no.
Oh, he was in Star Trek, I Dream of Jeannie, and then obviously Lurch in the Addams Family as well. Oh.
Well,
anyway,
he is iconic in this episode.
He is, and it's one of those episodes that's. I mean, yes, there is memes, but it is an iconic episode, and it's one of those. The running joke of the original series of Star Trek is like 79 episodes, 30 good ones. This is one of the good ones. This is one of the good ones where he is such an icon. He has no facial expressions all the way through this, but the way he does the voices obviously influenced the Terminator. His sheer stature and the way that the costume department emphasized the stature as well by padding out the claws as well. Simply fantastic. He was just an unstoppable person, and the only way that Kirk could have stopped him was by deprogramming him. That was it, because physically he was no match for Kirk, even with the concrete marital aid.
but this is the thing, and it's a shame, because I think he's a character who wasn't bad. It kind of tries to paint him as being bad by being like, hey,
he isn't.
He's programmed, he kills the red shirts at the beginning of the episode, but it's the idea of going, well, he was told to.
Yeah,
he was told. It wasn't of his own will, or at least. I mean, this is the problem where it kind of shows how dangerous things like AI and whatnot are, where Corby apparently says, he basically says hey, I told him to protect. And then Rock basically went, I'm going to interpret that as murder everyone, sort of and you are kind of going okay. But then again, Kirby goes good. He, after Kirk tries to sort of strangle him in the episode, he goes Kirk, he goes Rock, protect, and then Rock immediately runs after Kirk, and I'm like, that's not what protection is. Protection is staying with Corby, but obviously, Corby's basically going, hey, protection, the best, the best defense is a good offense, I think.
I'm going to have to circle back to this. What was Corby's goal in getting off this planet? What was the goal?
I think we've got to think that Corby is delusional. Corby believes that he's not an android.
Right.
Corby believes that Corby believes that he has found the solution to humanity's big problem of death. The whole rhetoric the rhetoric that he gives to Kirk is basically hey, we don't need to get sick or die anymore. We can basically live eternally if we all just transfer to robot bodies. Look, I've demonstrated that it works with Brown. Look, I've demonstrated it can work with you, kind of thing. And that's his thing of he's I just want to help humanity and whatnot. But then you wonder how much of it is projection, because maybe deep inside himself, he knows that he's not perfect. He knows that he's not really Corby anymore.
I like that they leaned into this in Strange New World Season 3 with Corby's obsession with the when they go into that prison. Yeah. And he's it's the solution. They found a solution to it, to life after death. They found a solution to eternal life, and it backfired. And I like the fact that his transfixation on this slowly starts to
I
continue.
think it's this idea of like Corby having an obsession with solutions to big problems,
Yeah.
you know, and him kind of like going into that. It's weird though, because it's like if and they've got to have because I have a feeling that in Strange New Worlds season 4, we're not going to see Corby again. I think they've kind of done a bit of him, and now they said, "Oh, he's on that planet
Oh.
now."
Yeah,
You
he's
know, I'm
missing
kind
for
of
5 years, isn't he? So this is 2266. So Strange New Worlds is season 3 was 2261
yeah.
or 2262.
Hmm.
It's 2261. So yeah, he's gonna have to disappear pretty sharpish because season
Yeah.
5. I mean, they are literally finishing off episode 2 of season 5 as we speak at the moment.
Wow.
So that is 2027, folks. 2027.
But it's the annoying thing is that it's like we probably aren't going to see Corby in the next season, or it'll be a throwaway mention or something like that.
I don't know. I think we're
And
going to get an
and
episode.
I think they could have put him towards or pointed him towards this technology or even this planet or something like far earlier. Like if they kind of had him being like looking into this particular race and what happened to them, but it doesn't feel like the race that he's researching and that we got to glimpse in season 3
The Doctor Who
is the
vibes.
same race that did the androids and
Yeah.
existed on this planet. And it doesn't feel like the two are connected. It's kind of gone, hey, he likes archaeology and he's like obsessed with solving big problems, but I can't see a direct A to B of how he gets
Yeah.
to this planet. And you kind of go, could season of 3 have been better if they'd actually gone, hey, we're going to take it in more of an android direction with stuff, and then kind of leaned into this and have him at the end being like, oh, look, I've got a lead on what might have happened to that race that probably produced that android that we fought kind of thing.
I'm gonna throw it out there. I'm gonna throw it out there and say we're gonna get one more Corby episode, and then he departs for this planet. I think that's what's gonna happen. I think that's what's going to happen.
I'm thinking,
well, they won't mention this planet.
Mention, you know?
Yeah, they won't mention this planet. They'll just say he got a, you know, he's received a hunch or he's received a bit of information about this race, and he goes and he leaves. It's the big goodbye for Chapel, and then that is just done. That is sealed up, and then they can move on.
Yeah. I'd like that. I'd like that. I'd like him to be a bigger part of the plot, and therefore the plot actually sort of ties more into this episode kind of thing. But then I don't know how they're going to dodge him being with Kirk for that long, or you know, Kirk when he's meant to be more prominent.
I mean, they could probably do it in a way of, you know, his obsession has grown, and he asks Chapel to come with him to this planet. She refuses. You know, she's got her own career. She says no. They have a spit, and then they break up. But he just leaves, so they become estranged, and that's how it's just left. And then obviously that ties in nicely to he's been missing for 5 years. You know, that would be just leaving them as estranged. I think would work.
Yeah, I think that's it. But but it is. Let's see what's going to age better. So you're saying that they are going to have an episode with him in, and they're actually going to resolve the connection between it. I'm saying they'll probably have a throwaway mention of him, but not really revisit it.
I really hope they don't. I really hope they don't. But we never know. We're just going to have to wait and see, and I'm probably going to look like a tit.
No, I think I'm probably wrong, but I've got a feeling. But yeah.
In terms of aging better, you always age better. I look like a washed up sock.
The joy of being bald, though.
The joy of getting grey hair at the side of my face.
Now we're not really doing this. We're not really doing this in a sensible kind of way. The way that we're talking about this episode, we're not talking about the plot. We're more talking about the concepts of it. Is that okay?
It's a 60-year-old episode. It's a 60-year-old episode. So I think the way we've discussed it, every man and his dog has probably reviewed this episode to the nth degree. I think the way that we review it, the way that we've approached it, is a lot better. And that's just me blowing my own trumpet. But I think, you know, reviewing the episode is fine, folks, but approaching it with discussing the minutiae, the certain subjects that he's seeing them again. He's seeing them. He's off his meds.
Fly in the room.
He's seeing it.
I'm trying to get it.
Are they in the room with you?
What's that? It's what's that little fly you want me to kill again?
What's that? What's
I'm
that?
trying to catch it every time it goes past the screen. But
He's
yeah,
losing his damn mind. But yeah, so like you know, I enjoy the way that we've discussed this episode. I enjoy the subjects that are problems for Star Trek and have been problems for Star Trek for the last 60 years. And you know, this I dare to think that this is probably the first episode where we see that issue of AI in Star Trek, and how they really don't know how to grasp it. They don't know how to deal with it, and it's quite interesting to think. You know, this is a couple of 100 years in the future, and they still have issues with
yeah.
artificial intelligence and sentience and robots and stuff like that. So it is.
Well,
Rather
I think
interesting.
it's this idea of kind of, with humanity, like, isn't the human part the problem in a lot of
Yeah,
cases? Where, like the bit that makes us human is the bit that makes us imperfect. Like it's,
yeah.
if everything was robots and we were just like, hey, we're just gonna do stuff, we're gonna make everything perfect, we're not gonna upset the apple cart, then things would probably work better than if we were humans and we're just going like, hey, I feel like I'm a bit unfairly treated here, so I'm just gonna beat someone up, or oh, I'm just gonna rise up against this thing or whatever, or oh, I really like this person but they don't like me, so I'm going to like murder them or something like that. It's like
Wow.
this idea of like that's these are the conflicts that you get with like humanity and passion and and it's a strange one because it's that whole thing of going, hey, if we got rid of all of the things that are destructive to the planet, would we keep humanity? It's like,
If this was live, I would definitely have a poll in regards
yeah,
to, do you think Star Trek has an issue with artificial
artificial life.
intelligence, artificial
Maybe you could
life?
probably still put it up when you're putting the stream live, or does it not have live chatters?
I will be on
I
a
don't know.
private island with a martini. No, I'll be here. I'll put up a poll. Future me, put up a poll. Um,
But
but
what
yeah,
the other things I want to talk about in the episode is the yeah, like the Corby showing how Andrea is just a robot is obviously very demeaning and whatnot, but it has it where like there's an amazing line from Chapel where basically he says, and where Corby's explaining Andrea and saying, hey, she's an android, she's a robot, she doesn't have feelings at all, and yeah, and Chapel's like, oh, how convenient, and then Corby
we
goes,
all
you
know what
think I
that
could.
means. Yeah.
Well, that's it. But then Corby's like, "You think I could love a machine?" And she's like, "Did you?" And it's just
Oh.
fucking hell. You just like, that cuts to the one of those memes where it's like the drop the mic moment or something
I
because it's like,
I think I suspect a little bit of Majel was poured into that little dialogue performance there.
it's
I
it's
think there was
perfect, man.
something there about that. Yeah, little dig at Gene, little dig at naughty Gene in the
Naughty,
60s.
naughty Gene.
Naughty Gene. I could never love another woman. Did you?
But I will. Yeah, but did I?
Yeah, did you? Oh,
What?
she was a sorceress. She was such a sorceress. I
And she is
loved her.
there on the screen. She's
Yeah,
like,
look at how beautiful she is. I would have
it's the
loved
fact
to have
that
met her. Met
it's
her.
the fact that even in the original series, like the youngest that she gets in Star Trek, she was such a beauty. But it was she was such a beauty. But like the
Am I
fact that she was
boring
like
you? Am I
no,
boring you with my performance?
I'm just knackered. It's been a hell of a day. We've got like yeah, but it's the fact that she was beautiful, but in a sort of normal way, like
Yes.
it wasn't this kind of like a beauty born entirely and stuck entirely in youth. It's the fact of going, she has this maturity, this intelligence, and this natural beauty to it all, and that's what made her so iconic. That's why she was
Even as
amazing as number
Loxana
one.
Troy,
That's why she's
yeah.
amazing as Chapel. That's why she's amazing as Troy. It's yeah, she
She's
she
a
was amazing.
she was a wonderful, wonderful person, and out of everyone, even above Jean, I would have wanted to have met her before Jean because she was just a
Yeah.
tour de force of Star Trek, and she kept it afloat. She was there, man. She was there all the way through to the bitter end. Even when Gene had long gone, she was still there, and she will always be the queen of Star Trek, the mother of Star Trek. She was, the fact, in her final days, they recorded her voice so that posthumously she could still continue to be the voice of Elcars in future Star Trek. Is a legacy.
Should be.
She should be. She absolutely should be. And the fact that they haven't done it is a crime to her legacy.
There is a big question in Hollywood about whether this is okay to do. Like, for instance, it's that kind of between what you want and what rights you can give. Like, because the issue we have is we have stuff like, it's difficult because, like they had it in Star Wars where they have
deep fakes.
Like deep fakes. Like they Tarkin,
Peter Cushing.
They have Tarkin. Yeah, Peter Cushing, and it's like the Tarkin. And the problem is Tarkin is one of my favorite characters in Star Wars lore.
Yeah.
And there was a part of me that was like, oh, it's great to see him again, and I'm glad that it's like, looks like Tarkin and stuff. But at the same time, you're just kind of like going, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. And the same way that you've got like, Darth Vader's voice being replicated and that kind of performance. And even though Marjorie Barrett gave her permission to go, hey, cool, you can use my voice. So you could totally feed, they could totally feed her voice and her performance.
She recorded
into AI.
Yeah, she recorded a book of dialogue.
She
actually recorded.
I know.
Yeah. But yeah, go on, sorry.
You could do it better with AI now. You could do, you could take those samples and put them through AI, but then it's the moral quandary of going like, yes, but you still need to pay them. So, it's that kind of thing of, obviously my view is like going, hey, yeah, that's cool. If you're going to do Peter Cushing, you still need to pay him like an actor. Yeah, cool. You're going to use AI to replicate this actor's voice so that he doesn't need to do it, but you keep it consistent. That's fine, but you need to pay him. Or is it
goes back to the Roddenberrys, or it goes to charity.
That's it. It needs to be, you can't get away with going, we need to make sure that we're going, hey, if we're going to replace actors with AI, we still need to be paying that money. Because you need to make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons, which is like, hey, we can do this because they're no longer with us and they've given permission or something like that, but not because they're like, hey, we won't actually hire actors because it's, then we'd need to pay them, and we don't need to pay them if we use AI. Like, that's the thing there. AI should be used because it's the best tool, not because it's the cheapest, even though it's not really cheap, but
Do you have any other notes for this episode?
Oh, I have lots of notes for this episode, I'm afraid. Okay, so yeah, one thing. When they're making the android of they're making the copy of Kirk, okay?
The Lazy Susan.
They've got the big Lazy Susan, okay? And they've got the sort of Kirk on one side and the sort of this shapely mass on the other side. And then it sort of spins around and then becomes that. What the fuck happened to its legs? Where's the rest of it? Like, look, it'll come up on the picture wheel, and I'm like, did they break off? Did the crew just drop the prop or something? Or did they just run out of paper mache or something? It has no feet. It just has these little sort of knee-length stumps. And you just like... So what if they sort of made... Like, can you imagine how the episode would be if they'd made the copy of Kirk, but then just forgot that the material they made of that was missing its feet? So they just kind of... Can you speed along to it?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing now, yeah.
There it is, look.
Hang on. There we go.
You can't see, but its legs...
Son of a biscuit.
Its legs cut off, like, just after the knee. And can you imagine if they made the copy of Kirk, and they're like, look, Kirk, you can't tell them apart. And then this everyone's, like, stumbling around, like,
I hazard a guess, right? They flew off when it was spinning.
Smack rock in the face. Well,
yeah.
They had to kill the actress.
Corby's just like, this is magnetism. Oh, shit. Jesus Christ.
But the problem is I saw it and I just couldn't stop looking at it. But I love the idea that they could have made this perfect copy of Kirk that was just missing its lower legs. and they send it on the Enterprise, and
Yeah,
Spock is
you
just
look at
like,
the legs are not even
Captain,
even.
yeah, Captain, you appear to be a foot smaller, and like
Mr.
very
Spock,
angry at me.
report.
And he's like, look, I could create perfect replicas, and I'm like, this is the worst demonstration I've ever seen.
Captain, when did you have a transistor? Um...
but yeah, no, it was just a note on that scene. I just love the idea that someone on the day just accidentally broke the prop. But
Oh,
when they
hang
were
on.
making them, they're like, we've run out
There
of
we go.
copies of the Sun. We can't possibly make any more
We've
paper
run
in a
out of
day.
copies of the Sun.
It's got to have some kind of fucking
Look,
purpose, right?
Rock wanted to
read
make
it.
a Tracy Island, right? He saw Anthea Turner, he got the
Yeah.
inspiration, and he was like, do you know what? I can do that. So the
That's
last paper mache
We don't have enough
android.
cardboard tubes to make this
I
bloody
needed to
android
make
body.
Thunderbird 3. All right. But
Has anyone got any more toilet rolls they can bring in?
I need to make Lady Penelope.
Hello.
Lady Penelope. But
But yeah, but that android there, I couldn't stop looking
why
at
do
it,
they
and I
need
was
to be
just like,
spin dried as well? Why do we need to put
kinda
them on
like
a
the
fast
technology,
wash?
But it doesn't explain it in the slightest of why
It doesn't
works
explain
like
it.
that,
And the sheer fact that Kirk is not vomiting all the way around
Yeah.
that. Just like, Corby's delivering this speech and all we hear in the background is like...
Yeah, and he's just like, Chapel, can you tell which is the real Kirk? And one of them just covered in vomit. And it's like,
Covered in vomit. It's
I think it's that one, But I do.
The
It's
toupee
really,
is slightly a quaff. No, it
I think
flew off. It flew off.
It flew. Toupee to one side, two bloody feet to the other.
Hang on.
Legs on the other.
You just sat there. There's like this big speech, and the next thing you just say, "Oh Jesus!"
You see, it's a perfect.
You see, it's a perfect replica of Captain Kirk.
we don't have enough film for another take, so we'll have to use that. Or we go over Scotty's scenes for this episode. But
Oh my god, that's so funny.
But yeah, the other thing is I do like, it's a bit heavy-handed the way it does it, but I do like the way that Kirk manages to win this, trick the system, where as he's being copied, he uses that age-old trick of basically while he's being copied, he just basically brings to the forethought of his mind the most racist thing he can possibly think to say, and basically sort of says to himself while it's there, what is it? It's like, shut up, mind your own business, Mr. Spock. I'm sick of your half-breed interference. Yeah, that's what it should have been like. It'd be like you or me being on there and being like, sort of, Farage has got some great ideas. Stop the boat. Stop the boat.
Hear me, hear it up.
Boris Johnson was clever, it's like he knew what he was talking about. He didn't totally just embezzle
imagine
500 billion pounds.
Just that whole scene of Kirk just going,
And the toupee flying off. I think if we were ever going to emulate scenes from Star Trek and try and recreate them, this would definitely be one.
Hang on.
We just need to use one of the roundabouts in a. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. We need to use a play park roundabout. Just spin it round.
Okay.
With a fucking Guy Fawkes or something on the other side. We painted it green.
Oh my god, I've got a clone Synoiz in a park in Sunderland. It's going to be fantastic. There's going to be 2 of them.
Oh, God. One is already enough. But
enough about Berlin.
Yeah, it's the idea of, well, actually no, I've never said that before.
Oh god.
It's the idea of but it's the fact of what he does. He puts this racism against Mr. Spock at the forefront of his mind, knowing somehow, I don't know how he does, that'll pass through to the copy. And then when the copy gets to the ship, because he kind of guesses what the plan's going to be of, hey, if we send this copy through and, steal the Enterprise. And then the way Spock catches on to what's going on and there's something amiss even though it's not relevant to the episode at all, because Spock doesn't save the day, he just appears after everything's said and done, is because he
Yeah,
goes,
right there.
yeah, you
Yeah.
calling me you calling me a half-breed was a bit rude, really, and that's not like you because you're usually so well-mannered and kind to me. Hmm. Uh, hmm, hmm.
This from the captain that went, your mother, what was it? Your father is a computer and your mother was something, and he's just like, yeah, this is the same Kirk. This is
Yeah,
the
it's like, but
same Kirk.
apparently, sort of like Spock can tell his racism bits apart. But it's also the fact at the end of the episode, it has like a little thing where Spock comes up to the real Kirk when he's back on the Enterprise and kind of goes like, it was a bit nasty of you for you to call me a half breed or whatever, insinuating, hey, that's what
Tipped him off.
tipped. Yeah, I was thinking tripped. It's like, yeah, that's what tipped me off. But it's weird though because it's a perfect opportunity for Kirk to apologize. It's a
Yeah.
perfect moment, like where he could have comforted Chapel. He could have just gone, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry that like your fiance is actually dead after all that," and doesn't. And then with Kurt, Spock comes over and says like, "Oh yeah, you called me a half-breed." Perfect opportunity to be like, "Sorry, Mr. Spock, I had to do it. I had to do something that you would know wasn't me." Kind of thing, like some kind of justification. And then he just doesn't. He just goes, "Yeah, right." And I don't know.
We see
I
this
know
at the
that's how
beginning,
men were meant
though.
to act. It's
Yeah.
how men were meant to act. They're meant to be stoic. They're meant to not show their emotions. They're not meant to apologize for anything. That's the whole cowboy thing and the whole machismo thing. But I hate it.
We
I
see this at the
genuinely
beginning
hate
of the
it.
episode, though, because when we've just seen it there, it goes past where Kirk is talking to Spock about, Colby's been missing for 5 years, 2 expeditions, can't find him. And then Kirk just goes, do you think he's still alive? And even Spock looks at Chapel and then just says nothing because he knows how to read the room. He knows that there is possibly no
Vulcan is more emotionally aware.
There's possibly no chance that Corby, I keep saying Corbin. There's possibly no chance that Corby is alive, but he knows that Chapel is dead. He's not going to go, nah, mate, he's absolutely foobarred. He just looks at it, he just looks at Kirk and then just goes, that is how you handle a situation. Not just going, oh, do you think her fiancé is dead? She's right there. She's right bloody there. And you're going, I think he's popped it, to be honest with you.
No, it's not. No fucking chance, sir. That's still alive.
Nah, chance. I tell you what.
Mum's gone, but she's too bloody ugly.
We're beaming up a skull. That's all we're going to do. That's all we're just going to beam up a skull.
Hopefully we can find a skull so she's got something to put on shelf.
Oh, Horatio, I hardly knew thee. Right, next planet where I can boink someone.
Apparently I never met you in Strange New Worlds.
Did you meet me when he was a fleet captain? I don't know. Anyway, moving on. You used to be Irish.
Yeah. Do you reckon that maybe that's what we're going to see in season 4 of Strange New Worlds? We're going to see some kind of episode where the memory of all Irish people gets wiped from everyone on the Enterprise's memory. So they basically just can't remember any Irish people.
How dare you? How dare you?
How dare you?
As a proud Irish descendant who has visited Fairhaven twice and not deleted the wife, I take offence. I bet you would.
Delete the wife.
Computer, delete the wife.
Safety protocols off.
I saw a TikTok. This is a slight tangent. I saw a TikTok the other day, and it was a comedy show. They were like, this fellow walks in. He goes, the holodeck computer. Generate an 80-foot Daisy Ridley circa 2019 with a full bladder. Increase my olfactory senses by 5,000% and produce a deck chair. Disable safety protocols. Sir, this is a broom closet.
No, I love it.
Oh God, that was so funny. He was in front producer deck chair.
Producer tech chair safety protocols.
Disabled safety protocol.
But I just love the idea of like, what were you thinking would happen here? Like, why would this be needed? And it's one of those pictures that paints itself off screen.
Oh well, he wanted to get painted. Delete the wife. But yeah.
I know, but moving on the description and stuff. The last thing I want to talk about, because obviously we have the fake Kirk and whatnot, and the whole kind of like, hey, they can't tell each other apart. But it is a bit dumb because you have everyone in the episode getting confused and not knowing which is which, even though they're wearing different outfits. And I know they're wearing different outfits for our benefit, but
Yeah.
you know, when you're talking about how superior the androids are and how Andrea is like this super, intelligent sort of like android, and she doesn't seem to notice that they're wearing different clothing. It's just going, surely you can tell. Like surely you can remember that the fake one is wearing the Starfleet uniform and the one that actually pissed you off is not.
Or they could have gone full DS9 and just pulled out a blade.
What do you mean?
Well, what do androids not do?
Yeah,
they don't bleed.
Mm.
They have circuits. They could have done something like that. Yeah, it is a bit silly, but again, it's just 60s sci-fi, man. It is 60s sci-fi, and they could have swapped clothes. You don't know. But yeah, it is a bit silly. They could have explored the Kirk android a little bit more. He could have taken full command and this, that, and the other. But yeah,
I think
running time was not with them.
I think the thing is, there's bits with this episode that I would love to see expanded upon. There's so many little nuances of this episode, like how, like this is one of the episodes that I think if they were to do that series that we're talking about, whether like potentially remaking, like if they were potentially remaking the original series.
Oh, okay, Star Trek Year One.
Yeah, like I don't know if Year One is meant to be actually that, or if it's meant to be the gap between Strange New Worlds and like
so what we actually see for those that are not really familiar with the original series, we see 3 years of a 5-year mission. So what we don't see is the first year, which is what people are pitching as Star Trek Year One, the first year that Kirk took command of the Enterprise. The animated series is the 5th year of the 5-year mission, and then it goes in for a refit, and then we see the motion picture. So what they're trying to pitch is a mini series, so like a self-contained one series, Star Trek Year One, where it charts the first year of Kirk as captain of the Enterprise. Now, it's going to be very telling if this is something that they are seriously considering by the fact that once season 5 is wrapped, which will be very soon because there's only 6 episodes, on whether or not they dismantle the sets and put them into storage, or what they call striking, which is essentially just breaking it all down. So it'd be very telling if they do that. I would like to see that expanded.
Well, I think, but this is definitely on my card for I'd like to see this episode remade. You know how we got like a remake of the
Balance of Terror in an alternate universe.
Yeah, kind of, where we kind of go like, hey, what is this like? But I think this could be done very differently if you could look into these things more, because I think it's got great messages, but that aren't really, the spotlight doesn't come on them. We can talk about them, but the spotlight isn't actually put on these points that I think are great about the episode. Like, for instance, we've talked about how Corby is constantly reminding Andrea that she's just a robot. Like, he's constantly talking down to her. And then at the end of the episode, we find out that it's Corby's inability to feel or love that is actually what makes him realize that he's an actual android and that he hasn't transferred perfectly across. But then what happens is Kirk, through the power of being a man, apparently, manages to like unlock feelings of love and emotion in Andrea. And Andrea isn't a personality that's been transferred across. She is an entirely synthetic life form. But then through the power of Kirk like passionately kissing her,
Through the
she
power of
manages to start going,
testosterone.
yeah, she manages to go, oh, wow, okay, maybe I do feel for this guy. And then she starts confessing her love for Corby and saying, hey, I've worked for you, but I do actually love you. She doesn't say that, but it's implied. And it's that spin on things of going, hang on, so androids can feel emotion, but not the humans that have been transferred into androids.
Yeah.
And and that would be great to explore, wouldn't it?
It
It,
it
it, it would it would be totally a shame if then she dies about 5 seconds after that actual bit, and then we never ever explore it again in Trek. That
I
would be
just
that would be a real shame, wouldn't it?
it is a shit. But again, this is what classic Star Trek was all about. And again, this is what season 3 Strange New Worlds has been sort of replicating, where you have these fantastic ideas, fantastic notions, and then they sort of bring it to the forefront and go, wouldn't it be great if we explored this anyway? And then just
Yeah.
leave it. And it's like the episode where there's like 7,000 humans killed
Yeah.
and nothing is done with it afterwards.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Oh well.
And it's like do you know what I mean? But yeah, I know what you mean with this episode. It deserves a second contact. It absolutely deserves a second contact, a revisit.
It is very much one of these things where I'd be interested to know what happened. Like,
Yeah.
what was the race that did this? I'd love to think that Strange New Worlds is going to get into that. But my
I would
faith,
hope to
after
think
season 3,
Corby.
my faith is a bit shaken. My
I
faith is a bit shaken that Strange New Worlds is wanting to tell bigger stories.
Let's just hope we get. Well, I mean, again, and even this is how I know Brannon Braga watches Trekking Up North, because he has been banging the drum about 26 episode runs again.
Yes.
Brannon, I know you're watching. I know you. What do you mean you're not watching? What do you mean
Hey,
restraining order? Hey,
baby.
I see you. I see you there.
You can pet my dribble.
I see you on the Orville season 4. I see you. 26 episodes. Yeah, if Strange New Worlds did 26 episodes, this
And
is
could explore these things.
absolutely one of the subjects that they could explore. Absolutely. It would be fantastic. Oh God, we're not going to get into this tangent again. I'm far too tired to go on about
I just have a
episode
feeling
run.
that the problem is they'd find a way to mess it up. They'd probably go like, "Hey, we are going to try something with 26 episodes. We're going to try it on Starfleet Academy." Oh, well, no one watched that. It must be because there were too many episodes. Let's never try that again. And you're like, "No, no, no. That's not what the problem was."
I saw the trailer for Star Trek Academy, and I'm like, is the Doctor a mute? We've had 2 trailers where he has said nothing. And also, on top of that, the whole arc of setting Tilly up to be an instructor at the Academy, the whole arc in Discovery, and she's in 1 episode?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like it was like, I mean, I'm not a fan of Discovery, but the fact is, you just like give the Discovery fans something. Like kind of go, hey, here's this character that you loved. She continues on, kind of thing. Because I didn't mind Tilly. Like Tilly was
I
like a
didn't mind
fun
Tilly.
character. It just nobody except Michael Burnham got development in Discovery. So
Like, and when they tried to develop someone, it was sort of like, no, they're far too, like, we know their surname, please dispatch them now.
yeah, now they need to die.
Like, and it's just, yeah, and I would love to. Getting back to this, I would love to have seen this explored. I hope that in season 4, Corby departs, but we get a bit of backstory to the race that developed these androids, and that leads him on this wild goose chase to find this planet. That's what I would. That's what I would like to see. That's what I would like to see. It would be nice to see that.
I think the problem is though, like nothing in this episode suggests that Corby is an archaeologist, does it? Like it makes him out to be a scientist. It makes him out to be some kind of engineer or whatnot. And so it's weird that Strange New Worlds went, "Hey, he's an archaeologist," and you're like, is he though?
He's
Like,
an archaeological medicine, and Kirk does reference that his findings have cured many many diseases, and it has improved our practices.
But that's not what we get in Strange New Worlds.
No.
And it just, I don't know, it just feels like a bit of a weird one where you're just going, they really could have tied him in better. They really could.
They really could.
I mean, I like the guy who does him. I think I think he's fun and I like that, but it's,
why is he Irish? Like, if he's American in this, why is he Irish in Strange New Worlds?
It seems a weird one. It's,
we're nitpicking. Do you have any other notes?
One thing I want to mention is obviously the line Rock says when Rock breaks his programming, when Kirk basically speaks to Rock and goes like, "Hey, you're being controlled by Corby, like," and he's like, "Yes, I have to obey him and whatnot." And then, because that's my programming. But then Kirk goes, "Well, what happened with your masters? Like, what happened with the old ones and stuff? Like, you murdered them. How did that happen?" And he's like, "Oh, well," and then he goes, this great thing where he's like, "Existence, the survival must cancel out programming. Yeah, survival must cancel out programming."
Anti-Asimov law. Yeah.
Yeah, because you realize that what happened is the robots didn't turn on the humans, or the robots didn't turn on the humans. The humans turned on the robots because they suspected that they were dangerous or that they were going to do, attack them first. And then the robots were like, "Well, we've got to defend ourselves," and that overrides our programming. And there's so much more you could have done with this because we don't really explore this in Trek. Like, even Picard season 3, we don't have, like, every act of aggression we see from the androids is an act of self-defense. It's, and rather than, well, I guess what this is that, I don't know what point I'm making. I'm very tired. It has been a very long day.
Shall we begin to wrap up?
Yes, let's wrap it up. Sorry, I don't know how long we've been talking. Thank you very much for anyone who has watched all the way through.
We're not done yet.
Listened all the way through this.
We're not done yet.
Yes, I know we've got an extra bit to do. We've got to do the Dabo wheel.
Got to do the Dabo wheel. Yes. This has been our review of What Are Little Girls Made Of. I apologise for the impressions and the references that we made at the beginning of the episode, but we don't care.
I don't.
We are receiving an incoming transmission!
Incoming transmission.
Oh, no.
We didn't have a challenge.
Oh, what the shame! How are we automatically going to the Dabo wheel?
We didn't have a challenge, and because we didn't have a challenge, I have decided that the Dabo wheel of shame must be brought out.
Code of honor.
I'm a glutton for punishment. I just want to play Elite Force again, so I want a bad episode so you can go away. We've
been discussing about sort of the fact that we should probably just have an episode where, even though we're both here, we're still playing games, but we're playing games together, like, rather than reviewing an episode. And it'll just be me backseat driving, like, and just frustrating you while you're trying to play this bloody video game.
Folks in the chat, folks in the comments below, do you want to see Science Officer Synoiz offering his sciencey advice to me as I play a video game? Please put it in the chat, put it in the comments below, because I will either murder him or murder him. Either way, there is going to be...
I like both those options.
Either way, someone's going to win. Yes, so we had no challenge this week. If you would like to post a challenge to us, it needs to be a 9:16 video, or vertical, or portrait if you are a normal human being. And you can put it in our Discord, our brand spanking new shiny Discord. The link is down in the description below. Or you can contact myself or Science Officer Synoiz personally via carrier pigeon. With a copy of the video, and we will not play the video until the next episode, until it appears right before our very eyes, so we are caught off guard, and then we vastly run out of the Dabo Wheel of Shame episodes. But anyway, welcome to the double wheel of episodes. If you are new to Trekking Up North, welcome in. Hit that subscribe button and click the like down below. What we have here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Trekkers and Trekkers, is every episode of Star Trek in existence. And what we have done for this season, we have distilled the very essence of good episodes and bad episodes. So we have got an amuse-bouche of the pinnacle of Star Trek, both good and bad. And we have the Double Wheel of Honor, which has some of the finest episodes that Star Trek has ever produced. And then
in our opinion.
No. Our opinion is godlike. It is fact. And then we have the Double Wheel of Shame, which obviously has the pap episodes. As we didn't have a challenge, we are going to spin the Double Wheel of Shame. So as ever, I know what he's going to say, but I'm obligated to say it. Science Officer Synoiz, what episode do you want to see?
Oh, I definitely.
We've already reviewed that episode. We can't do it again.
we can review Elogium again. No, we can.
No,
we can.
No. I'll be the one that says piss off next time.
No, just to annoy you, and I say it all the time, it has to be Code of Honor. We have to get it out the way.
God damn it. Right.
Wow.
So we are going to spin the wheel. When the wheel lands, you all have to shout to the top of your lungs, Dabo! You all have to comment Dabo. You all have to put in the chat Dabo. You all have to send me a handwritten letter saying the word Dabo to P.O. Box. I'm not telling you my address. Right. In 3... God, I hope this is not Code of Honor. In 3, 2, 1... Oh,
it's all Spock's brain there.
Double! Surprise, everybody! We fooled you! We fooled you. We fooled you. You thought you were going to get Code of Honor. You were wrong. You were wrong. And I forgot to get my prop. Hang on a minute.
We have modified
vamp a little bit
this
Synoiz.
episode. I'm trying, but you're talking over me. It's like we have sadly fixed the Dabo wheel this week because we have a very special guest who will be joining us next week, and they appear in a wonderful episode of Star Trek Enterprise, which is called. What is the episode called? Can you read your screen, Mr. Goodwill?
Oh, they appear in many episodes, but the one episode I want to discuss because it is a horny episode is season 4. Bound from Star Trek Bound from Star Trek episode.
Ooh, Bound.
Should I bring
this up? Yes.
Sorry, I smelled burnt toast.
We'll have a very special guest next week that I am very excited to have on the show. We've been chatting over Discord, and they have a lot of cool things to say, and yeah, they have a very lovely message.
It is season 4, episode 17 of Star Trek Enterprise, Bound. While T'Pol and Tucker discover that they have developed a psychic bond, Captain Archer receives 3 Orion, I can't say that word, girls, as a gift for negotiating with the devious Orion Syndicate with rather disastrous results. And our special guest next week, he is the host of the Letter Decks podcast. He is one of the many beautiful background actors in that podcast from Star Trek Enterprise. It is Duncan Fraser, Ensign Walsh from Star Trek Enterprise. So we are very, very, very excited to welcome him because we will be seeing him at STLV next year. It's gonna be fun on the bun. It is gonna be so much fun. It's our first guest of season 3 as well.
It's crazy to think how long it's been since we had a guest, if I'm honest.
A year. Yeah, no one wants to talk to us anymore. But
Well,
no,
no, we've been turning them down. We've had lots of requests of people to
we've
be
had.
guests and
I
stuff,
have
and we're just
had.
like, we're too busy talking shit amongst ourselves.
I have had so many requests. Even at the quiz last week, I had at least 3 people come up to me wanting to be a guest on Trekking Up North. So I have a list. So we will be
Release the list.
released.
No, Rock is judging you in the top
Hmm.
corner there. Release the list, Goodwill.
So Duncan Fraser will be our very special guest next week, folks. It will be recorded due to time and availability, because obviously we are all very busy, and Mr. Fraser is in the California states. So there is a time difference there. But that is next week. But for this week, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in to this week's episode of What Our Little Girls Made Of, our review. I would like to thank my delectable Geesian science officer, Synoiz. Look at him. He's so handsome. He's so handsome. He's so beautiful. He's an amuse bouche of sexual attraction.
I'm wipe clean as well, which is.
Are you
always a
wipe
boon.
clean? Are you wipe clean? Oh my! Are you Teflon coated?
It's bits of me.
Oh. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Look,
You can.
I've got a conker. I found a conker on me.
You've got a conker?
Lovely. I've got me
I've-
conkers out.
I've got an Xbox battery pack. Which one will blow up first?
Should we smash them together and find out?
Oh, but enough about Berlin. Thank you so much for tuning on tonight. You can find everything we do in the description below. There is something in this pocket. What the hell is it? It is a parking ticket. You can.
That suggests you were driving while wearing the Enterprise jacket.
I was.
Okay, cool.
I was at the
That's
quiz,
fine.
you pillock. I was there. You saw me. You can.
Well,
you
where
can.
did you get a parking ticket in Sunderland?
No,
Did you get one?
no, I didn't get fined. I paid for a parking
Oh,
space.
okay. I was gonna say. I was like, bloody
They
hell,
can't
where'd you park?
fine me. They can't fine me. I'm the
To
captain.
be fair, in Sunderland, they're probably going to see you, check your car, and be like, "Oh, he lives in Redcar. His day's been bad enough. I think. Let's not trouble him any further."
Yeah. Everything we do is down in the description below. I, of course, am on Twitch constantly, so is Science Officer Synoiz. You can find all the links down in there. Synoiz has also got some wonderful tracks being released from his new EP, which is absolutely fantabulous. It's absolutely wonderful. Congratulations.
It's really good. We've got to finish the album. We've got to finish. There's a couple
Never.
of things left to be done before I can actually release the full album. I was aiming to get it out before Halloween, but I'm very busy, so it might be on Halloween that it comes out, or it might be later afterwards. So we're not sure.
That is timely.
It will
That
be
is
out when it is out. However, I am very
Release
very
the
pleased about this album.
EP.
Well, it's a full album because all the EPs, all 4 of the EPs for my new album Horrors are out now, and it's just the full album that combines all of the EPs and then some additional tracks all together. But you can listen to them by going to Synoiz, synoiz.com/horrors, and that will take you to the Spotify where you can listen to all of my tracks. There we go.
The link is in the description below, as well as the friends of Trekking Up North. Please give them a follow. Tell them that we sent you so they can remove the restraining orders. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Trekkers and Trekkers, I have been Captain Goodwill of the USS Adequate. He has been Science Officer Synoiz of the USS Adequate. Take care of yourself and each other. Live long and prosper. And as ever,
Your sorbet sucks. Now get out.
Miles, I'm going to keep
Miles?
doing it. Miles,
Miles.
what are you doing with that sorbet?